Hi, and welcome to another edition of Media Analysis in the form of a rewrite. Today we're going to be talking about how I would fix Frozen 2. And so the interesting thing with Frozen 2 is prior to the movie, I think prior to even being announced, as I recall, there were like quotes about, oh, of course we would never write a sequel unless we really had a story to tell. Like we really felt like there was something more that we needed to say about Elsa's story. And then we got the movie and it became apparent that that wasn't true. And obviously we were going to get a sequel, and obviously they were going to do that because they wanted to make more money, because original films would make so much money. So it's not surprising. It is a little disappointing. But still, I do think that there is something that could be salvaged, pulled out of here. I don't love that, obviously, their idea of what more of Elsa's story we could tell is, let's give the backstory for why she has magic powers. Like, I felt like that was a very common bad faith criticism. And not that it's out of character for Disney to indulge in bad faith criticism, but I still don't think they should do it. So yeah, not surprising, but I do think that there is a good movie in here. Before we get into Frozen 2, I do want to say a little something about the original Frozen, about the way that it is structured, that I think is interesting. Because if you ask, Frozen, whose story is it? Like, you have to pick one person, whose story is it? The answer kind of depends on what, angle you're approaching the story from, right? Are we looking at it in terms of, plot? Because it's definitely, Anna is the main character in terms of the plot. She's the one who is, driving the plot forward, who we mainly follow around as we're, going along on this story. But in terms of the emotional core of the movie, that's Elsa. Let's let it go. It's really about her emotional journey to find acceptance in herself and to, feel that she's accepted as well by her community. And that's really the emotional core of the movie. And obviously the song Let It Go became hugely popular, and it was clear that they were trying to do that again with the sequel, but it doesn't really work, because if you look at this movie, the way it should really be structured, given the story that they have, is basically a reverse of the first Frozen, where whose story is this in terms of the plot should be Elsa, right? We're following her on this journey to find the fifth spirit, to get to Holland and all that. But then let's have Anna's story be the emotional core of it. This story should be focused around her song, The Next Right Thing, which is an amazing song. I ugly cry every time, just tears, snot everywhere. Great. And so this really her song about grief, but also about being able to, move forward even though she is now completely alone. So if the original movie, the emotional core is let it go, the emotional core of this movie is letting go, right? So I think that's the approach we're going to take on this rewrite. And this is one that allows us to minimize the amount of changes that we really need to make, in terms of, we don't really change the plot hardly at all, because the plot is still Elsa's plot. It's more about changing the way certain things are framed, changing little conversations here or there to build towards this story being about Anna. Because again, that song is amazing. It really deserves to be a focal point of this story. And also because Show Yourself's fine as a song, it was so clear to me in the movie theater watching the movie for the first time. I'm like, they were trying to do Let It Go again, but it doesn't work anymore. Let It Go worked because it was really this triumphant moment for her. Show Yourself, we already had that triumphant moment, right? That was, Let It Go was her already doing this, and we're just redoing the moment again for the same character. doesn't really work. And that's the same thing with the whole emotional journey that they're trying to send Elsa on in this movie is just the same journey she already went on in the first movie. And I'm sure there were executives who like pushed for that because, well, the first movie made a lot of money, so if we do the exact same thing over again, it'll make a lot of money again, right? It's not really how good storytelling works, though. So, getting into the actual movie, walking through these changes that we'd be making. First, you have the whole flashback when they're kids. That's all fine. I mean, I do have this like kind of minor nitpick where as you're watching it, it seems pretty apparent, like the vibe is definitely that the queen, Anna and Elsa's mother, has not told their father, her husband, that, you know, she was Northuldra, that she was the one who saved him and all that. And like, I understand her not telling him like before they got married or anything like that. I can sympathize with her being in a place where it's like, okay, it's not ever going to be relevant again, right? Because Northuldra is completely cut off. Like, what does it matter? It's not going to affect our lives. And also, his dad died in this war between our people, or I guess it was really more of a battle between our people. Maybe just don't bring that up. Like, I get it. I get where she's coming from. But I feel like once your child starts showing signs of magical powers, that's kind of the point where you really do need to be like, hey, honey, so maybe this isn't relevant. I don't know, but probably you should know that I'm from the Enchanted Forest. So maybe that's part of why our daughter is magic. Like, I know the Northuldra people didn't have magic. Like, they have Elsa explicitly asked that question. I'm told, no, they don't have it. But still, it seems like maybe that would be relevant, possibly, to understanding what's going on with our daughter. So I definitely would prefer, like, I don't want the story to explicitly tell us. That's fine. It's not really a twist. Like, anyone in the audience figured that out. Anyone over the age of like 5, they figured that out real quick that, oh, the person who saved him was definitely their mom. But, you know, it doesn't have to be a twist. It can just be like surprising for the girls to find out, and that works fine. So they don't need to tell us that. I just need the vibe between the parents to be like, yeah, they know, they're just not telling their daughters about this yet because it's kind of a lot, and they're like 3. I think Anna's probably like 3, and then Elsa's like, what, 3 years older? So Elsa's like 6. They're little is the point. So I get that. That's fine. I just, and it's not, like I said, it's not a big deal. And she does tell him eventually, but, yeah. Anyways, you don't have to do that. And the flashback is otherwise fine as is. Moving forward then, once we get into the actual story, we have that opening song, Some Things Never Change. And I think Anna's part in the song is fine, maybe a few tweaks. I'll touch on Elsa's part in the song in a minute. But the real thing that I want out of this song is as we're rebuilding this story to be around Anna, is where the song initially reads like it does read in the movie, where it's like, oh, this kind of cute thing where she's like reassuring Olaf, who's basically a little kid, about like, hey, you know, I'm always going to be here for you, even as other things change, we still love each other and we're here for each other. And it's like, oh, it's so sweet. And then if you go back and rewatch it after having seen the movie, you're watching it like, oh, this girl has abandonment issues, man. Like, that's the vibe I want for here. Like, Some Things Never Change, how I'm holding on tight to you, comes off now not as this sort of reassuring thing that she's saying to Olaf, who's a little kid. You're getting the vibe like, oh, this is her. She will not let go of people. She is clingy. She has abandonment issues, which is super valid, right? She spent her whole childhood basically completely isolated, right? She's closed up in this castle all by herself. Her sister has shut her out. I mean, I think some of that has to do with the parents, but I think also some of that was Elsa actually, you know, she was scared that she was going to hurt her sister and shut her out. So Anna is completely shut out and feels very lonely. And so it makes sense that she would grow up and have abandonment issues. And even though she now understands why those things happened and they didn't have anything to do with her, like it wasn't her fault in any respect, but just knowing that doesn't automatically fix all of your emotional issues. Emotions are difficult and weird. So it totally would make sense that would be a problem that she'd have that we can now look at and address in this movie. So she has abandonment issues and she's clinging to the people that she loves because she's scared that she's going to lose them again. Like she have her feel like she cannot do that. Like she doesn't want to, like she feels like she cannot do that. She does not believe that she could physically, emotionally survive if she lost the people that she loved again, right? That's what we're building towards here. So, again, the song works, I think, mostly fine the way it is. There might be few little tweaks to specific lines, or maybe little tweaks to exactly how it's being presented on screen. It doesn't have to go into, I don't have specific details, but overall, good, that's fine. Kristoff's part of the song is fine. We are going to end up cutting his attempt to propose subplot, but we are still going to have him propose, so that works fine. Only Elsa's part, I think, could probably use some tweaking, and this is also going to apply to her next song, which we'll get to in a minute, but will apply to it where Elsa's reluctance and her fear that we're getting in some of these songs, fear of change that she can sense coming, should instead come from a place of she's afraid to leave Anna, or isn't afraid, but doesn't want to leave Anna. So it's not her being afraid. If anything, she is eager. She does want to go after this change. She does, she accepted herself in the last movie, and now she is eager to continue that journey, to continue to learn more about herself and who she is and where she comes from and what her powers mean and all of that. But she is holding herself back because she knows that Anna has these abandonment issues, and that she knows that they are partially because of her behavior. Again, it's not totally her fault given the situation, but that's the kind of thing you definitely blame yourself for. So she knows that, and so she loves her sister, and so wants to be there for her, to the point that she is holding herself back from what she wants to make sure that she's always there for Anna. That's the vibe we want to get, that she's doing this, holding herself back for Anna. So tweak her part in that song to convey more that sense than this sort of sense of, oh no, I'm afraid of what other change is coming. So that song happens, then we have their little charade night, and like I said, we're cutting the whole subplot where Kristoff proposes, or is trying and failing to propose. Primarily, it makes both Kristoff and Anna look bad. The idea of Kristoff kind of fumbling and awkward with a proposal, that's fine. That makes sense for his character. That works. He is awkward. But it makes Anna look kind of her responses to his fumbling look kind of bitchy, to be honest. I get that she didn't quite understand, didn't quite catch on to the fact that he was trying to do something, that charade night. She was distracted and she left. It's not a big deal. But then, when they're on their little journey towards the Miss, and he's trying to lead into the proposal, which, first of all, why, my man? I guess he does say later, in case we die. So sure, it just doesn't seem like the most opportune time, but whatever. I guess I get that. But he's trying to propose to her, and he's like, hey, so you remember the first time we were, in this doing a sled journey together, and I say you were crazy to marry a man you just met, and she's like, you didn't say I'm crazy. Do you think I'm crazy to, she just fucking flies off on it, just freaks out. And just interpreting everything he says in the worst, most insulting way possible. And it just makes her look like awful, like an awful person. Like, this is supposed to be someone you love, and you are immediately assuming the worst out of everything that he says to you. And it could maybe work if we had done more to like show that Anna is like not in a good place mentally right now. If like it felt like, oh, she's reacting like this because she's super stressed out. But the movie doesn't really convey that very well, I don't think. It doesn't, we'll get into it. So it doesn't really convey that though. So she just looks mean. And then Kristoff then being like fucking off to go catch butterflies so he can propose to her, like when they're in the middle of this serious mission. Like, that's also kind of, it makes him look stupid. Like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go fuck off and collect butterflies for this proposal. I don't know. Like, I guess he didn't know that they were gonna be interrupted. He thought, okay, by dawn it'll be fine. But still, it doesn't make him look good. It doesn't make Anna look good. It doesn't make their relationship look strong. They keep missing each other like this. So yeah, we're cutting that whole subplot. Which means we're cutting the song Lost in the Woods, which is kind of sad in that it is a really funny song. Like, I love the idea of Kristoff doing this like whole 80s power ballad. Like, it's a whole fucking, it looks like a music video, right? Like a whole 80s power ballad music video, Turn Around Bright Eyes kind of deal. And it's funny, but doesn't really work in the movie, I don't think. Like, it was assumedly meant to be like a comic relief music number, but tonally it's kind of jarring with everything else that's going on. And also just I guess they do fantastical imagery sometimes in the songs. I guess that's fine. It doesn't quite gel with the rest of the movie, so I feel like it needs to be taken out. Honestly, they could do a whole little short. I think that would be so much cuter, honestly. They did like this whole little short, like Kristoff has a big date planned for him and Anna, and it's gonna like a whole day because it's their anniversary, and he's got all these different things they're gonna do, and then Anna has to keep, missing things because stuff is coming up in the kingdom, and he's like crossing off all these things on his list that they can't go do, and he goes and does them with Sven instead, and like they get like a couples massage together, and they have a Lady in the Tramp moment together, him and his reindeer. You could make it really funny. And then Lost in the Woods is like his song right at the end where he's like, I don't think she's going to show up. Like, all they have left is this stargazing part of the date, and he doesn't think she's going to make it, and he's lost in the woods, whatever. And then she does show up, and she does remember that it's their anniversary, and it's sweet. Like, that would make a fun short, and that would be a great place to put this song, but it doesn't really go in this movie. So yeah, cutting all that. Instead, they have their charade game, and then Kristoff does propose to Anna, and she says yes, and we have this big happy moment. And this other reason we're switching this is because this allows us to have this good high moment at the beginning of the movie before Anna slowly starts losing everything, right? She has this great moment. She's having family game night with all her family's there. Kristoff proposed, so they're married and they're like legally family now. Super great. And then Elsa hears the voice singing, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm tired, I have a bit of a headache, I'm so happy, but I gotta go. And then Kristoff, who is a good fiance, is just like, yeah, no, it's fine, we have the whole rest of our lives together. Foreshadowing. We have the whole rest of our lives together, go check on your sister. And so, of course, Anna goes to check on Elsa, and we have Into the Unknown, which we already kind of talked about, minor tweaks on that, but overall, works really well. I enjoy that song. Then the whole thing with the spirits and the evacuation, and then we find out, okay, we got to go to the Enchanted Forest to try to figure out what's going on with these spirits. And the big kind of little difference, one difference here is I don't want Elsa to be like, you guys cannot come. I want her to be like, oh, hey, I need to do this. And they're like, we're going to come with you. And she's just going to be like, yeah, cool. You guys can come. Or like, ooh, are you sure? It's going to be dangerous. Okay, cool. You can come. But not like trying to push them. You cannot come. Because what we're going to be doing throughout this is there's a lot of like little conversations between Anna and Elsa throughout the movie, where Anna is sort of presenting this idea that Elsa is being reckless. Elsa is trying to go off and like do things by herself. Like she's falling back on these old habits. And that Anna is like, no, we promised we would be together. We would do this together. And the framing consistently makes Anna feel like she's the reasonable one here. And Elsa is the one who is like being a bit ridiculous. Like there's a point where Elsa, when they're fighting the fire sprite, where Elsa's like, don't chase after me into fire. And then Anna's like, well, don't run into fire, which, makes Anna look reasonable, right? Elsa ran off into fire, so yeah, Anna chased her, but like Elsa started it and Anna's just trying to help. But the reality of it is, of course, that Elsa has ice powers. She wasn't running into danger per se, because she can take care of herself and Anna cannot. And I want that to be the vibe instead. This idea that Elsa is confident, she's in control, she knows what she's doing. She ran into fire after this fire sprite, but she knows what she's doing. She knows how to handle herself. She knows how to use the ice to keep things under control so she can figure out what's going on. And Anna is, again, she's clingy, she's needy, she's got abandonment issues. So she keeps chasing after Elsa and she's creating problems, right? Elsa's fighting this fire sprite and she's got it under control until Anna runs in like, Elsa, I'm worried. I'm here to help. And then Anna is in danger and Elsa has to distract herself or pull herself away from, trying to track down this sprite and figure out what's going on to save Anna from the fire. And if Anna hadn't barged in, Elsa would have had it under control. So I want that to be the vibe. The vibe is Anna is the one who is in the wrong here and Elsa knows what she's doing. Elsa is, growing into herself, but, confidently. She knows who she is, kind of thing. And that's why we're also changing that whole thing where Elsa's like insisting on going off on her own, and Anna has to be like, no, we said we'd do this together, because it builds part of that narrative here that Elsa is the one who's being reckless and wanting to go off on her own, where Anna is like trying to keep her under control and trying to remind her that, we're here for you. We're here to support you. Let us help you. So great. We get to Northuldra. We have, they have the encounter with the wind spirit first. Yeah, I just watched this movie last night. So they have the encounter with Gale and all that. And then we have the Northuldra and the Arendelle soldiers come in. We have that whole conversation. That's all good. Then when they stay the night with the Northuldra people, I want a bit more from Elsa to feel like she really feels like she belongs here, that she's fitting in here, that she's like really interested in the way these people live and their culture. And of course, it's her own, culture in the sense of that's where her mom came from, and she wants to learn more about it. And she's just really vibing with it. Just because, so if we look at the original Frozen, backtrack a little bit, we have the song, Let It Go, which is her big, power ballad where she's learning to accept herself, but it's not the completion of her arc, because even though she's accepted herself, she has decided that, she can't be like part of a community as herself, and she has to be a sparkly hobo up on a mountain top in her magic ice palace. Girl, what are you gonna eat? Anyways, so she has to still learn by, over the course of the movie that she's like loved and she's a part of this community, and learns to be like a member of the Arendelle community. And yeah. So then we have this movie where she ends it with like, oh, I'm this like ice spirit. Like she learns more about herself, right? She has the whole show yourself. And she learns to accept herself as this like fifth spirit, to connect to the spirits and the, people. And then she goes to be a sparkly hobo in the woods this time. And that's where it ends. And it's like, well, what about the second half of that, where she's like, no, you still can be a part of a community. So it would work better if we had this sense that she really is connecting with her mother's people and the way that they live and do things. And, because they rely on the spirits too. They don't have innate magic powers like Elsa does, but they still use magic in the sense that they commune with these spirits, and the spirits like allow them to use their magic. It's not super clear, which is fine. We didn't have to use super in-depth in the world building for the Northuldra people. It's fine. So just the point being that if Elsa is really connecting with these people, then we can end the movie with her still deciding to go to the Enchanted Forest. But the idea is more like, okay, she's living in the Enchanted Forest with the Northuldra people, with her mother's people, so it allows her to be with the spirits that live in this forest. But it also doesn't quite feel like she is just gonna have to run off and be a spirit by herself again. Yeah, so if we get this stronger sense that she is connecting with her mother's people here, then it sets up that ending better. And it also allows us to kind of sprinkle in a little bit more of this vibe of Elsa is holding herself back for Anna's sake. Like if we have Elsa and Honeymaren are maybe having this conversation about, the way they live and their culture and all that, and have Elsa be really interested and engaged in that, and Honeymaren's maybe like, you are Northuldra, you can stay here with us. Like you are welcome to be a part of our people. And have Elsa like, I have to go back to Arendelle. I she has obligations. She can't do this because she's, she has obligations elsewhere too. And she might frame it as to, the Arendelle people, she is queen. But the vibe for us, the viewers watching who understand that yes, it's really about Anna. Elsa clearly would love to be spend some more time here and learn more about these people, but she feels like she has to stay in Arendelle with Anna. Okay, so then we have the Earth Giants who come, show up, and we are going to have to tweak things because we can't have Kristoff just fuck off to go catch butterflies or whatever in order to do his proposal, since he already successfully proposed. Instead, what we'll do is have a little action sequence here where the Earth Giants see them and are like chasing them. And so Elsa, they realize they're coming after them. And so Elsa, Anna, Kristoff, Finn and Olaf, I guess I have to say them all now. But all of them, they decide, okay, well, we're gonna leave to protect, the Northuldra people, and I guess the soldiers are probably somewhere kind of nearby. We're gonna leave to keep them safe, because the Earth Giants will come after us. And it, maybe is Elsa's like, I will lead them away, and Anna's like, no, we're gonna come with you. Or maybe they all just decide to go. It's not a big deal either way. The point is they leave and they're running from these rock giants chasing them, right? And at one point they're gonna be like running along like an edge of the cliff, and then somehow I can't do action. Like I don't know how to choreograph that. I don't know how to choreograph that, but somehow Sven and Kristoff fall off the edge of the cliff together, and Anna's just like, no, and she like almost flings herself off the edge of the cliff trying to get, Kristoff, and Elsa has to like grab her and pull her back and like keep running until they find somewhere like, I guess, safe to hide or something. And Anna is just inconsolable, which fair. Her fiance just fell off a cliff. But just so upset, and Elsa has to be like, well, you know what? They'll be fine. If anyone will be fine. And Kristoff, didn't y'all fall off a cliff last year? And you were fine. It's okay. I'm sure they survived. But like, the vibe is like, we're not sure that they survived. Like, obviously, us in the audience knows that they're not dead. And just the point is that we want Anna to feel like maybe they could be dead and that she has lost them, right? We are pulling Anna's support system away from her in a way that is much more impactful than, I don't know, he fucked off with the reindeer a little while ago. And Anna's like, okay, well, we can't really wait for him, so I guess we'll meet up later. Like, it's just not an impactful way to lose him. And so it just doesn't feel like she has that, whole grieving moment, which, to be fair, mostly grieving for her sister being dead. But I think it would hit harder if we felt like everyone really was fully dead and gone. And if we knew that it wasn't like, well, Kristoff, he's just fucked off with some reindeer somewhere. He's fine. So yeah, they fall off a cliff and we don't see them again until later. Until the end of the movie, right? So that continues. They continue and they find the ship and they find out about, what their parents were doing, and how they were trying to find Ahtohallan, and, that's how they died. And so at this point, though, instead of Elsa, like, blaming herself for their death, maybe she does a little bit, but instead of her freak out being like, oh my God, it's my fault, everyone around me dies, I want her to freak out because she's like, oh shit, this is dangerous. And like, I have been letting Anna continue to come with me, even though she's been putting herself into danger. Don't run into fire after me, Anna. You don't have ice powers. Like, continuing to let her come, but like, this is too dangerous. She cannot come with me at this point. Like, I have to go on alone. I have to push her away, for her own good. I have to leave her because it's not safe for her. And Anna does not like that. And so we still have the same sort of little tricking her and pushing her away thing. Again, it's just the tenor of it, instead of being like Elsa freaking out about how she hurts everyone, and Anna just being like, it's okay, I'm here for you, I'm supporting you, I love you, you don't, our parents' death is not your fault, you don't hurt everyone. Where, again, Anna is clearly the one in the right in that, and Elsa's the one who's, like, freaking out, having emotional issues. We flip it, where Elsa is the one who is right, and she's like, I have the powers to be able to handle this. You do not. You will die. And Anna is, like, refusing to hear that, and so Elsa has to send her off for her own good. And honestly, that's fairly vindicated by what we see happen, right? If Anna had tried to stay with Elsa, she would not have been able to make it past those big waves. Elsa barely managed it, and only because she has, her ice powers and was able to tame the water spirit horse, because she's also a spirit. Not that she knew that, but, well, she did kind of. Like, she already had that vibe. Like, I tamed that fire spirit, and she was like, I think maybe, she tamed Gale too. She's like, I think I maybe could have tamed those earth spirits. And Anna was having none of that. And it kind of felt like Anna was right in that conversation too, which, anyways. So yeah, that happens. Then, of course, Elsa has her whole big show yourself moment. And that's, it's mostly fine. It works. I don't love this idea of her being like the fifth spirit. I think maybe instead of her being a spirit, like, emphasize that she's supposed to be the bridge. I don't know, it's weird. It's the kind of thing, it's too, because she has ice powers and, like, there's already a water spirit, which is, like, obviously, because when they made the first movie, they did not have this in mind. They already gave her ice powers. And if you're making the spirits, you can't not make a water spirit if you're making, like, the elements spirits. So, it just kind of was a making up as you go world building that didn't quite come together the way that they would have probably preferred if they had started with this point. But anyways, the main point being that I don't know that I love the idea of her being a spirit, but her being the bridge is good. It works just fine. She gets to the glacier. The song was actually her mom, like the echo of her mom's voice, which was kind of cool. And she sees all these past events. She cringes at herself seeing Let It Go. I don't love that. Like, it's too much Disney being meta, self-aware, like, oh, haha, everyone loves the song, but everyone feels like it's overplayed now, so she's cringing too, because she also feels like, oh my god, so cringy. Like, wasn't that really an empowering moment for her? Why would she cringe from that? Anyway, so yeah, she goes, she finds out the truth about her grandpa being an asshole, and sends it to Anna, and then Anna has, sees it, and then she, Olaf flurries away, and Anna has her song, and I cry for 10 days. Moves forward, destroys the dam, that's all good, and then we have the tidal wave that Elsa stops. I want to say, I have seen some people say, or heard some people say, that they think the tidal wave should have destroyed Arendelle. Like, there should have been consequences for what they did. And, like, I see how you would feel that. Like, this idea of this bad thing happens, so there needs to be consequences. But the dude who did that died 34 years ago. The only people who are suffering those consequences are going to be all the people of Arendelle that lose their houses, their whole entire lives, like, without dying, like, obviously, but their whole entire livelihood just gone by this huge tidal wave. And they didn't do anything. Like, it's not their fault. They didn't do it. It's not, well, I mean, I guess maybe some of them got hired to do it, but they would have been lied to too about the whole strengthening the waters. But like, they weren't behind this, like, whole plot to weaken the Northuldra people. They definitely were not behind this attack on the leader. They didn't know, and they aren't even benefiting from it, right? It's not like, because obviously there is, like, the real world parallels to, like, involved here, right? Where you have people from like colonizers and such who, even though the descendants of them, they didn't do any of that. They didn't colonize. I have not ever colonized anyone, you guys, I promise. Maybe in video games. But I've never actually done anything like that, but I'm still the beneficiary of that having happened, right? And so that means that those people from those groups, those races, those, nationalities, what have you, need to, like, recognize the way that they've benefited and need to be willing to let certain things go, need to do work to help repair the damage that their ancestors caused to the ancestors of these other people. I'm not explaining this well. I'm sorry. This is supposed to be a movie analysis. The point being, like, I see that parallel here, but again, the people of Arendelle have not actually materially benefited from this dam in any way. Like, this dam wasn't meant to help the city of Arendelle. It was a scam about strengthening the water, so they were pretending it was going to help the Northuldra people when it was actually hurting them. But, like, it doesn't benefit the Arendelle people at all unless they were also bigots and thought that all people who have magic are bad and evil, right? My point being, it makes sense that had the dam been doing something for people in Arendelle, like, it had actually been benefiting them in some way, they need to give up that benefit for the Northuldra people, because it's hurting the Northuldra people, and that's not good. That's not fair. They can't, even though they weren't the ones who were responsible for the dam, it doesn't matter. They can't continue to be the beneficiary of that. But the dam's not actually helping them in any way. And this tidal wave destroying their whole town, that's not them giving up being the beneficiary of something that's hurting these other people. It's their whole lives getting destroyed. And that's not what the point of reparations is supposed to be. So yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like, they don't need to be facing consequences because they didn't do it. And it's not like destroying the entirety of Arendelle in any way benefits the North Ultra people. Destroying the dam benefits them, and that's important. And so we had to be willing to sacrifice Arendelle if that's what it takes to, make things right with the North Ultra people. But we don't have to actually lose our homes if there's a way to prevent that happening, which is what Elsa does. I will say it maybe would have been better optics if we saw Elsa primarily protecting the city of Arendelle, like the normal people's houses, and not the whole big castle. Obviously the way that it was discussed made it pretty clear that this was a risk. The whole city was going to get destroyed, right? That's why we had to get everyone evacuated, to make sure they would all be safe. And I mean, of course, but on a writing perspective, the reason we had to evacuate everyone is so Anna could make the choice to destroy the dam, because if there was a risk of the tidal wave coming when everyone was in their homes, it would all get killed by it, then maybe we gotta figure out something else to slowly pull down this dam instead of breaking it, because that's too much. But since we knew they were all safe, nobody was going to die from this, it was okay for Anna to make that choice. But yeah, anyways, the point being that I think having Elsa come in and save Arendelle, again, optics of her saving the castle is less good, because, I mean, Anna and Elsa weren't the ones who did it, but the castle is sort of the symbol of the monarchy, and it was the king of Arendelle, albeit one that is now dead, that did this. It feels a little less good than if we saw her primarily in front of the town. She can still protect the castle. It's a big wave that she's blocking, but if we saw her from the angle of, here's this town that's going to get run over the wave, and so she's saving all these houses of all these, perfectly innocent people, that works better. Anyways, my point is, I think it's good that Elsa saved Arendelle. I think that works well. I don't think we need these consequences. There's no one still alive that needs to face the consequence of their whole goddamn town being destroyed. So yes, Elsa stops the waves, saves Arendelle. Also, I think it's good for Anna's emotional journey too, that Arendelle gets saved, because what we're going to have, of course, is Anna at her lowest point, just absolutely, sobbing on the ground, grieving with her song. And then she's like, okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to keep moving forward, even though she knows that another thing that she potentially is kind of grieving in that moment is the knowledge that the dam has to be destroyed. They got to destroy the whole town of Arendelle. The people will live, but her home is going to be destroyed, right? And she has to go forward and still be willing to destroy her home, because that's the right thing to do in that moment. And she's going, and then Kristoff comes in, swoops in, picks her up, saves her. Kristoff on Sven saves her, and then she can have a moment oh my God, you are alive, so we're getting her back. Actually, honestly, if there's a way that we could rework that, so Kristoff swoops in to save her somehow after the dam breaks. Again, I can't do choreography, I'm not a choreographer, but if you could, that would be really ideal. But anyways, she's giving up all these things, and then Kristoff's alive, and then Elsa is alive, and then Elsa tells her, hey, you didn't lose your home. Arendelle's still safe. And then Olaf is alive, right? So she's been torn down to nothing, and now finally she gets to build back up. She gets to have all this back. She has learned that, you know what, even if she loses everything, she can still go on. It's terrible, obviously, but she can actually survive that. And that is going to help with her abandonment issues, because now she knows, like, it's okay to not want people to leave you, but she knows that she can survive if that happens. So it's easier for her to let Elsa go at the end when Elsa says, hey, I really feel like I need to stay here. I need to stay in Northuldra. I need to stay here in the Enchanted Forest. Like, this is really the place for me. And having realized that she cannot hold herself back. Of course, she already realized that with the boat and when she, but realizing that she can't continue to hold herself back just for Anna's sake. And Anna has now matured to the point where she is like, yeah, I get that. I have to be willing to, let you go and let you be who you need to be, and I will be okay. So that's great. I would like a little bit more. You know what? Actually, that is there. Somehow I'm like remembering the end of the movie, and I feel like I didn't when I was watching it last night. And I feel like I didn't get the part. Yeah, Kristoff and Sven get like all dressed up for her. What happened? Did I accidentally skip that scene? I did not see that scene last night. Just because I was saying the movie kind of ends with the time forward skip with Elsa and riding off in the sunset on her water horse, where it's a powerful moment, but I do wonder if, given that we are switching this to make Anna the emotional core of the movie, it might not be better to end it on Anna again. It could go either way. Anyway, so they both decide to go their separate ways. I like the idea, the bridge has two sides. Mother had two daughters, and so Elsa is going to go to Northuldra, not just like in the wilderness with spirits. She's going to become, go to Northuldra, and Anna is going to go back to Arendelle. She's going to become the queen of Arendelle, and we can rebuild this alliance but for realsies this time, that their grandfather destroyed. And yeah, that's kind of what I would do with this movie. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.